The United States electrical power grid is perhaps the most complex machine ever built, and transforming it from an early 20th century machine to a 21st century engine for innovation represents a huge scientific and engineering challenge. The Secretary of Energy and the Department has taken on this challenge and made it one of his top priorities. Grid modernization is the type of grand challenge that demands the collective capabilities of our national laboratory system. PNNL is pleased to be co-leading this effort with the National Renewable Energy Laboratory, or NREL, on behalf of the department. Our new systems engineering facility, this building here, is essential to our efforts to deliver on DOE's vision for the future of the nation's power grid. It will support multiple DOE programs and offices, including the DOE Grid Modernization Initiative, the Office of Science, the Office of Energy Efficiency and Renewable Energy, and the Office of Electricity. This initiative and the capabilities housed in this facility are central to PNNL's scientific vision to understand, predict, and control the behavior of complex adaptive systems. And our grid is an excellent example of such a system. I'd like to thank Congress and the department for their leadership and investment in the area in general, and at PNNL in this facility in particular. I also thank our Washington State Legislature for its investment in the Clean Energy Fund, as well as the Department of Energy's Office of Electricity and EERE for matching the Clean Energy State funds. This investment is enabling PNNL and our two states' major research universities to partner together to demonstrate the potential of transactive control to reduce energy usage and to lower costs. And if you don't know what I mean by transactive control, after that education, go in and there'll be many people who'll be happy to tell you all about it. It's really quite fascinating and a real breakthrough in how we're going to utilize the grid in the future. And speaking of universities, I do want to thank and acknowledge our university partners, especially Washington State University and the University of Washington, for the expertise and enthusiasm they bring to this effort. Next, I'd like to acknowledge the two local small businesses that turned our vision into the building before you. Meyer Architect and Engineering for the design, and GGR Grant Construction for the building. Finally, I wish to thank the amazing staff at PNNL who conceived this facility and will work in it. By working together across the laboratory and with all of our partners, you have made today a reality. You should be proud of what you've accomplished, and we look forward to the great things that you will do for the nation. So thank you very much. I would now like to introduce my co-host, Roger Snyder, the manager of the Department of Energy's Pacific Northwest Site Office, who oversees PNNL. Roger and his DOE colleagues and many others in the audience were instrumental in providing the support necessary to make today happen. So please join me in welcoming Roger to the podium.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you. It's my privilege today to introduce Elizabeth SherwoodRandall, who serves as the Deputy Secretary for the Department of Energy. She's been serving in this role as second in command at the department since October of 2014. For a bit of background, she joined the Obama administration on day one, serving from 2009 to 2013 as the Special Assistant to the President and the Senior Director for European Affairs at the National Security Council, and from 2013 as the White House Coordinator for the Defense Policy, Countering Weapons of Mass Destruction, and Arms Control. Before joining President Obama's team, Dr. SherwoodRandall worked at Stanford University, at Harvard University, and in the Council on Foreign Relations. In the Clinton administration, she served as the Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense for Russia, Ukraine, and Eurasia from 94 to 96. Dr. SherwoodRandall attended college at Harvard and went on to the graduate school at Oxford University, where she was among the very early ranks of female Rhodes Scholars. After finishing her education, she began her career for then Senator Joe Biden as his chief advisor on foreign and defense policy. Please welcome Dr. SherwoodRandall.
Good afternoon. I'm so happy to be with all of you, and thank you, Roger, for the warm introduction. I also want to thank Senator Murray and Congressman Newhouse and Senator Cantwell. Of course, Senator Cantwell can't be with us. She's visiting the fire zone right now. But to each of you for your tremendous partnership in Washington, for all that we do together to advance our shared agenda. I'm very pleased to be able to be here to represent the Department of Energy today in dedicating this fantastic new building that is devoted to grid modernization and grid integration research here at Pacific Northwest National Laboratory. I have to say, Systems Engineering Building is a really generic name for a really cool place. And I wish that it sounded sexier so that people could appreciate what amazing things are going to happen inside of it. And it's happening right here in this space with such an important history with the heritage of the Manhattan Engineering District and the Hanford Engineering Works. The security and reliability of our grid is a hugely important national priority. I've made strengthening the resilience of our grid one of my highest priorities for my time as Deputy Secretary. As President Obama pointed out in his 2013 policy directive on critical infrastructure security and resilience, energy and communication systems enable all other infrastructure to function. If we don't protect the energy sector, we're putting every other sector of our economy in peril. Access to electricity is such a fundamental enabler for the economy that the National Academy of Engineering named electrification the greatest engineering achievement of the 20th century. However, the grid that we have today is still largely a 20th century structure, and it will not meet many of the demands or the opportunities of the 21st century. Our electric grid faces threats from climate change, from natural disasters, and from intentional attack. From individual hackers to nation states, our adversaries know that a successful attack on the grid would cause major problems for our country. At a conference on cybersecurity at West Point, the military academy, earlier this year, our Vice Chairman of the Joint Chiefs, Admiral Sandy Winnefeld, urged attendees to take cyber threats as seriously as we have taken nuclear threats. Here's what he said. We're talking about weapons of war that on the click of a mouse can change the physical reality of faraway places in a dramatic way, even entire nations. The private sector and the government must work together to ensure that we can prevent and recover from grid disruptions, whether they come from cyber attack, physical attack, or severe weather that is brought on by climate change. To meet the President's goal of reaching 80% of the nation's electricity from clean energy resources in 2035, to protect our grid against threats, and to meet evolving consumer expectations, we need a more resilient, reliable, sustainable, and affordable grid. As you heard from Director Ashby, last winter the Department of Energy launched the Grid Modernization Laboratory Consortium, led by PNNL and NREL. This strategic partnership brings together the power of our 17 national laboratories with leading experts and resources across the country to help modernize the nation's grid with significant advances over the next decade. The new Systems Engineering Building at PNNL will help drive the science and engineering necessary to provide a clean energy future for the nation. It will let researchers here address national challenges related to electricity delivery and energy conservation, from cybersecurity to reliability. In addition to grid modernization, the new facility supports multiple Department of Energy mission areas, including science, electricity, energy efficiency, and renewable energy. For example, it's going to enable PNNL's campus to operate as a living laboratory to demonstrate integration of the grid with new building and energy efficiency technologies, and for coordination of distributed energy resources. The research that will occur here leverages the National Laboratory's strengths in high-performance computation and materials research. It also recognizes that success requires strong partnerships with industry and with academia. You can see that philosophy in both the mission and the design. So my congratulations to PNNL and everyone involved in making this terrific new building a reality. We look forward to seeing more great results from your work on grid modernization and smart integration research. And we will look forward to working closely with Senator Cantwell, Senator Murray, and Congressman Newhouse, and with state and local leaders to advance your impressive region's grid modernization efforts. Thank you so much.
So thank you very much, Dr. SherwoodRandall. And now it is my honor to introduce Senator Patty Murray, a great champion for PNNL and an untiring advocate for American innovation and energy research and development. She understands the role of research in creating new technologies and products and its importance in preparing a globally competitive workforce. As a senior appropriator in the United States Senate, she works tirelessly to ensure this and other critical funding for our state and the nation. Senator Murray, as always, thank you for your support and thank you for being here today.
Well, good afternoon, and thank you so much for that warm welcome. It is great to be here to dedicate the Systems Engineering Building with Deputy Secretary SherwoodRandall, Administrator Mainzer, Congressman Newhouse, and all of you who are gathered here today. You know, PNNL has a 50-year history of tackling our nation's most complex and urgent challenges. So it's really no surprise that we are celebrating another milestone today. This systems engineering building is not just another building on a national lab campus. It is going to be a hub for cutting-edge research on the power grid, building on PNNL's core strength in the field, from transmission and distribution to cybersecurity to energy storage. This state-of-the-art center, with its labs and equipment, will support research to improve grid reliability, resiliency, and security with a strong focus on smart buildings. It will address challenges facing the power grid in the Pacific Northwest and across our entire country. We all know that this research is badly needed. Our nation's power grid is vulnerable and it is outdated. Utilities and grid operators face daily challenges from severe weather events to increasingly sophisticated cyber attacks. The work PNNL is already conducting and that will continue to thrive in this new facility will lead to more advanced technologies and smarter investments that will help utilities better facilitate communication between the grid, its operators, and the end users. A smarter, more efficient power grid is essential to ensuring that we can seamlessly support clean, renewable energy like wind and solar. As a senior member of the Senate Appropriations Committee, I'm very proud to support critical investments in our power grid like the investments that we are making here today. Investing in our power grid will help us meet the demands of the 21st century economy, lower power prices, and bring renewable energy to our homes and our businesses. And that is important to Washington State families who not only want to see lower utility bills, but it will also help renewable energy to flourish in order to leave a better world for our children and our grandchildren. Today is yet another example of how the Pacific Northwest is leading the nation. This unique facility will make major contributions to DOE's grid modernization strategy regionally and nationally. And in true PNNL fashion, this innovation will happen in collaboration with industry partners. Working with Itron, Schweitzer Engineering, and Avista, to name a few, PNNL will transition its research out of the laboratory and into the real world. As PNNL continues to break ground on buildings and, more importantly, on research here in Richland, I want you to know that I will be in the other Washington working to support you and making sure they understand what you do every single day. Thank you. It is a great honor to be here today with all of you.
Thank you, Senator Murray. I'd also like to take the opportunity to thank Senator Maria Cantwell, who could not be with us today, but is also a longtime supporter of this laboratory and grid modernization efforts not only here, but for the entire nation. It's now my honor to invite Congressman Dan Newhouse to make a few remarks. Congressman Newhouse is the new representative for our 4th District. In his short time in office, has already demonstrated a great understanding, interest, and support for our laboratory. We appreciate the time he has taken to learn about the laboratory, and we're pleased to welcome him back. Congressman Newhouse.
Appreciate it. Welcome, everybody. Warm days make for short speeches, and I'll try to follow the cue I had from my previous speakers. Well, thank you, Steve, and I want to thank everybody here at the National Laboratory for including me in this great opportunity, this great day of celebration. I'd also like to take a second to thank Battelle and the Department of Energy for the fine partnership that they've demonstrated over the last 50 years. Truly, I think, a model for relationships and how they can be most productive. So I think that we should take a second to recognize that. I'm very fortunate. I really think it's a privilege to represent the 4th District. I'm very happy that the Pacific Northwest National Laboratory is in my district. But I also know that that's a great responsibility. Every time I come to the lab, I'm reminded of the responsibility that I have. PNNL is one of the foremost national laboratories in the country, but you know that. It continues to make many contributions to the scientific community here in the Tri-Cities, to our state of Washington, and certainly in support of our great nation, and certainly has for 50 years. This building, are you going to call it the SEB building? Is there an acronym yet for it? No, always. The Systems Engineering Building will be another great addition to this world-class facility, which is vital to the long-term growth of the Tri-Cities because of the leading role the lab plays in preserving our capacity to innovate, enhancing our competitive edge in the global economy, and improving our quality of life. This facility exemplifies the leading role that the lab will continue to play, both within DOE and for our country as a whole in developing new grid modernization technologies and in electricity transmission research. So the advancements that will be made here will provide for stronger, smarter, and I think this is important, more resilient energy systems and grid technologies well into the future, helping us remain a world leader in energy innovation, efficiency, and development and transmission. Furthermore, the SEB will not only be the center of all power grid research within PNNL, but, and this will become of no surprise to you, utilizing high-performance computing and advancement in cybersecurity. It will also serve as a backup control center for regional utilities. Yet another example of what I think is the lab's ongoing dedication to the community in which it lives. So I look forward to working with many of you, certainly with the laboratory, well into the future. And thank you and congratulations on this great day.
Thank you, Congressman Newhouse. It's now my pleasure to introduce one of our partners in the Grid Modernization Initiative, Elliot Mainzer, who is the Administrator for the Bonneville Power Administration. BPA is a strong regional collaborator partnering with us in many areas in many ways, including the Pacific Northwest Smart Grid Demonstration and our research in integrating renewable energy sources into the grid. Please join me in welcoming Administrator Mainzer.
Well, thank you all. It is a real pleasure for me to be here today. It's wonderful to see Deputy Secretary SherwoodRandall, Senator Murray, Congressman Newhouse. Thank you all for being here. Also, Senator Campbell's office. It's a real testament to your commitment to these issues that you made it out here today. I really appreciate it. Also, I'd like to really just tip my hat to all of you, staff here at the lab. You all make a huge difference for many of us. At Bonneville, of course, we grapple on a day-to-day basis with many of the major issues that are facing our industry. And I can tell you that our collaboration with PNNL has been one of our most fruitful working relationships. Like everything from energy efficiency and demand response to smart grid, and of course even to our Fish and Wildlife program. You've made a difference, and we are internalizing and incorporating your innovations into our day-to-day work. I really, really, really do appreciate it. So Steve, to you a tremendous job with the people here at the lab. And I would say, as others have said, the new systems engineering building, this is exactly the right facility at exactly the right time. We're experiencing huge transformation of our industry, and the challenges have never been stronger or more important and more rich. And so I really look forward to working with all of you on everything from state awareness to demand response, smart grid, renewables integration, and together I am absolutely confident that we'll be able to continue to position the Pacific Northwest as a real leader in industry evolution. So congratulations on the new facility. Thank you very much, and I really look forward to working with all of you in the future. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Elliot. I'd like to thank to all of you for the support and commitment to the scientific and engineering capabilities that this facility will enable in helping us to meet the demands of our nation's future power needs and the grid through integrated renewable energy and increased resiliency, reliability, and security. We're excited to move into this new facility and even more excited about the outstanding research that we'll do in it to transform our grid and the entire energy system for the benefit of the American people. The other speakers and I are now going to take a short private tour of the facility. I'd like to invite all of you to perhaps come on in, enjoy some refreshments, and then have a chance to enjoy a self-guided tour of the facility later. So thank you all for coming. We very much appreciate your attention and participation, and especially on such a warm day. Thank you all.